Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and today we have the final leaks of the iPad Pro 2018, the iPad 10, whatever iPad you want to call it, the new iPad Pro that will be coming out in 2018. We have some final leaks on it, some additional information that has been coming out all week about it. So let's dive right into it. Let's just start discussing it. First of all, we have some leaked photos out of a case manufacturer. Supposedly these are leaked photos of the 2018 iPad Pro, and they come from a pretty reliable source of someone who's leaked the iPhone XR and I believe the Google Pixel 3. So these are probably the final designs of the 2018 iPad Pro. And as you can see, it has that full screen display going all around the iPad, very minimal bezels going completely around the iPad, no notch at all. So if you don't like the notch, don't worry about it. The notch isn't coming to the 2018 iPad Pro. And you can just see how the screen kind of wraps around all the way around the corners, a much more rounded design, kind of similar design language to the iPhone 10, and more kind of like the Apple Watch Series 4, where it has this just ultra slim bezel all around the entire screen and rounded corners. Apparently this is going to be a very slim device. It's apparently 5.8 millimeters thick, which is very thin. Hopefully it has a strong chassis so it doesn't bend or break very easily. Not that you're gonna put your iPad Pro in your pocket or anything, but if you sit down on an iPad and it doesn't have structural weight or just something like that, it could bend very easily, being so very thin. And because this is a all-screen design, obviously Apple will be removing the home button. We've been hearing about that for a long time with this upcoming iPad. Actually, in iOS 12, if you have a current iPad right now and you're running iOS 12, those gestures are already there. If you take your iPad, you swipe up and stuff like that, you can access the same exact gestures found on the iPhone 10 on your current iPads. So all that's clearly in place. Apple will be removing the home button on it. Apple will be getting rid of Touch ID. And because they're getting rid of Touch ID, they will be moving to Face ID, the same facial unlocking system found on the iPhone 10, the iPhone XS, the iPhone XS Max, and of course the upcoming iPhone XR. Now with this new Face ID system, we've been hearing for a while that maybe Apple might not be able to get it to work in landscape orientation. But when you use your iPad Pro, I personally use my iPad in portrait mode as well as landscape. I'm constantly switching the device around. So if it's only going to work in portrait mode, I really think that is a big design compromise. And actually 9to5Mac, who actually has a lot of information about the new iPad Pro, iPad 10, whatever you want to call it, actually says that the Face ID system in the code that they found is going to work in both portrait and landscape orientation on the new iPad. I really think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think Apple's going to release Face ID on the iPad if it only works in portrait mode orientation. That would just be a huge design compromise. That would be way worse than just having a fingerprint sensor on it that you can unlock on any orientation, because iPad users use their iPads in tons of different configurations. If you're on a keyboard and stuff, you don't want to rotate it every time you have to unlock it. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the Face ID in the 2018 iPads will work in both portrait and landscape orientation. So obviously with a new iPad comes a new chip, and the new chip in the iPad Pro for the 2018 is apparently going to be the A12X chip. No surprise there. Most of the iPad Pros have had the X chip inside of them, so whatever the current generation of iPhone chips is, this time the A12, this will be the A12X chip. And with that A12X chip, it's going to be a little bit faster on the processor speed compared to the current A12 in the iPhones, which is no slouch. It is a very, very fast chip. But the big benefit of the A12X chip is in the graphics department. The A12X is going to have significantly better graphics than the ones found on the iPhone, and that makes sense. You're driving a larger resolution display on the iPad Pros, and some of the more graphic-oriented applications like drawing or any of those pro applications would benefit from those enhanced graphics. And the most exciting rumor, the one that's been leaked in 9to5Mac, the one that was actually leaked in this CAD drawing, is that the iPad Pro is actually going to be adding USB-C to the iPad Pro. It's not going to be using the Lightning port that has been found on current iPads and iPhones for so long now. It'll actually be making the switch. It'll be ditching the Lightning port and adding USB-C. Now, why I find this particularly exciting isn't because I just want to charge my iPad over USB-C. I actually don't care. I think Lightning actually handles that job a little bit better. I find plugging in the Lightning port to the iPhone actually a little bit easier than plugging in a USB-C port. So I don't really care about the charging aspect of USB-C, even though that should bring fast charging, and there's probably going to be a fast charging power brick. But where I'm most excited and where a lot of the rumors are saying is that this USB-C port is going to be including some advanced capabilities, like the ability to have external displays with 4K HDR. Now for me, when I hear this leak, I don't think, okay, we can just plug in our iPad Pros to like a monitor like this behind me, which has a USB-C port, and it'll just display what's on the iPad. Or if there's like a TV with a USB-C port, maybe you get a dongle with HDMI, you plug it in, and you can show your content there. That's not what's exciting to me about this leak. It's that Apple's making this port change to USB-C. The rumors are it's going to include external monitors. I think we might see a situation similar to a Samsung DeX, and that is where you plug in your USB-C port, you plug it into a monitor, and it actually converts into a kind of desktop experience. I think we might see that kind of capability come to the iPad, where you can just take your iPad when you're out and about, it's in its portable iOS mode, and when you get home, you plug it into a monitor, and all of a sudden it can do some additional capabilities. Maybe you can use a mouse or a trackpad. You get a precise pointer for using pro applications. I think we might see that come to the iPad Pro, and that's really exciting for me. I can't see Apple making the port change any other way. I don't think they would just add USB Type-C to the iPad without giving a big benefit to it. And I think that benefit is carrying additional data over to the display so it can be used like an external computer. I think this shifts the iPad Pro becoming more of a computer device and kind of shifting away from the iOS device status it's had for so long. I think Apple's going to be adding some just additional features to these iPad lines, making it more of a computer rather than just a big phone, a big tablet experience. I think this is a huge step forward for iPads. I mean, this is all speculation, none of this can come true, but I just can't see Apple ditching their Lightning port and adding USB-C, and it's just a new way to charge, and oh, okay, you can plug it into a display and just see content on your iPad. That doesn't make sense to me. I think there's a bigger picture here that people aren't talking about, and that there's going to be just some sort of desktop mode included with this new iPad. Just something where you can actually create and use an external monitor with your iPad in a really cool way, maybe in a way we're not even thinking of yet. So I'm just really excited to see that. And maybe this isn't even coming with the iOS 12 running on the iPads, because the rumor is iOS 13 is going to have a complete redesign of the home screen. So maybe these capabilities come when iOS 13 comes out and the iPad is redesigned, and maybe there's support for mice and trackpads when using the desktop mode. And of course, some of the more final details coming out of this 2018 iPad Pro are the accessories. So obviously, Apple is going to be having the Apple Pencil with the new 2018 iPad, and it's going to actually be a new Apple Pencil. Apparently, it's going to support a better way to pair it to your current iPad. So it's going to include what they say AirPod-like pairing, so very simple pairing. I think it'll be more similar to the Logitech Crayon that stylus at Apple released with the 2018 iPad, and not the 2018 iPad Pro, just the regular 2018 iPad. And with that Logitech Crayon, you can just take the pencil, bring it to any iPad, and just start writing on it. There's no pairing involved, so I think we might see a similar technology applied to the Apple Pencil too. Also, apparently there's a new magnetic port on the back of the iPad Pro for 2018. And a lot of people have been speculating maybe this is a way to attach the keyboard, and I think that might be true. We might be getting a redesigned keyboard, maybe they'll add a trackpad for that desktop mode. That would be pretty cool. But apparently the keyboard's going to attach that back, but they're still going to have two smart connectors, I believe. So I think maybe the Apple Pencil on the 2018 iPad Pro is going to change to magnetic charging. So maybe it's either on the back where that new port is, that'll charge the Apple Pencil, or on the side, maybe it'll charge there. So when you're using your iPad Pro typing in landscape mode, you just stick the Apple Pencil on the side and charge it, kind of like how the Surface Pro, you can attach the pen on top of it. But this time on the iPad, it'll actually work as a attach mechanism to store the Apple Pencil, and it will also charge it at the same time. Okay, and that's just it on the 2018 iPad Pro. Apparently Apple is going to host some sort of event late October, maybe early November, to showcase this current iPad Pro, and actually maybe announce some new Mac stuff as well, some new laptops, a brand new Mac Mini Pro, and a refresh to the 2017 iMac, so a 2018 iMac, and maybe actually show off the Pro desktop of the modular Mac Pro, and maybe even a refresh of the iMac Pro. I think that's actually overdue for a refresh as well. Just excited about all those new iPad Pro features that are coming. I'm really, really excited to see what they do with this USB-C port. Maybe it's just tons of wishful thinking on my end, but I really can't see Apple changing that port just to support USB-C charging. I think there's just something bigger there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that USB-C port's just gonna be for charging? Or do you agree with me that it's going to transform the iPad into more of a hybrid computing solution that can replace not only a laptop kind of thing, but maybe even transform into a desktop? Let me know in the comments below if you agree with that. If you liked the video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel for more, including some more info about this iPad when it's finally released, make sure you do that. Also, if you really like my content, if you want to support the channel, we actually have merchandise now. I'll leave a link in the description. We've actually sold a few shirts already, so that's really cool. Thank you to anyone who purchased it. I really appreciate it. That's a way to support me. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that, so that's the best way you guys can currently support me and support the channel, is just by buying the merch. And like I said, a few of you already have, so thank you so much. That's really awesome that you guys like me enough to actually support me and just buy like a cool shirt or something like that. That really means a lot to me, so thank you for doing that. As always, guys, just leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the 2018 iPad Pro. You plan on picking one up? Are you excited about these new features? And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.